graduated from Pepperdine University with a degree in computer technology. She also spent, during her college career, a year in Germany at the University of Heidelberg and was there on the Berlin Wall the day that the Iron Curtain fell in 1989. We'll talk just a little bit more about that as we make our way through. I'll say more about that. But Frances married her high school sweetheart, Scott Adams, in June of 1991, just after graduating from Pepperdine University. They moved then to Ohio for Scott's law school and early law career, and there Frances worked as a computer programmer. But they both, at that point in their lives, gave up their careers in Ohio and came back to Oregon when Frances's dad became ill with ALS. Scott and Frances have two beautiful daughters born to them. Rebecca was born in 2001, and Sarah was born in 2004. And they were the pride of Frances's life. Everything she did was for them. She kept a strong faith through trials and tribulations, which during that period of time, Rebecca was diagnosed with inoperable cancer in 2005. 2 years later, in 2007, their house burnt down, but Frances's faith remained strong as the family clung together. Frances is remembered as, well, devoted, both as a mother and as a wife. Time will fail us to go into all of the details that would involve. Those of you who knew Frances well knew that she was fairly quiet, but very strong. And now these are not my words, although I would agree, a very tolerant person. You can make your own application there. Frances was also known by those who knew her well as a nurturing person. Even when Frances was preparing to remove her life support these last few weeks and over the months, she chose at that time not to have this period of time during close to any birthdays, any special days that might ruin it for somebody else, and far enough away from the beginning of school so that her children and mother and others that were close could have time to allow some adjustment to take place before they needed to go back. Though at the end, Frances, as you may know, was severely limited physically by the ALS that she bore, she was a mother to the end. Frances and her mom, Betty, helped her, carefully and thoughtfully selected special pieces of jewelry with special family significance to each of the girls. And then Frances personally, and some of you know the technology that she used to communicate, she personally wrote a letter to each of the girls that they can read on a future day. And the girls are also given a special rainbow piece of jewelry to remind them of God's eternal promise. Because of Frances's quiet nature, she was not real outward about her accomplishments, but as many of you know, in fact you saw on one of the little pictures that came up here, she was a motorcycle rider. BMW. Got to make sure I get the right brand name here. BMW was their brand of choice. And there's more pictures on the table over there. In fact, Betty even showed me one of Frances when she was, how old, wearing the helmet?
3 or 4.
3 or 4 years old.
One of her uncle's helmets.
One of her uncle's helmets, got a taste for the feel of the helmet and was ready to roar off on her motorcycle. And Daddy rides a motorcycle too. Yeah. I want you to notice the pictures on the table. Also, Frances enjoyed crochet. And you'll notice on the back table there's 2 pink Afghans back there that Frances had personally crocheted as her physical abilities began to wane. Those are some of the last pieces that she crocheted. And crocheted into the pattern of the Afghans are the initials of the girls that they can keep on their bed. Frances is also known in some circles as Kilo Bravo 8, Papa Romeo Lima. or she's got a ham radio license. And she and Scott shared that as a joy too. She and Scott also not just use this for fun, but they use this as public service in different ways when they have an MS fundraiser or event of some kind, that they would work during that together. And I asked Scott what are some of the things that they enjoy doing together, and he said yes. Whenever they were together, they enjoyed doing that. Then I asked the question, what accomplishment would make Frances's eyes light up? And though not outward about herself, one thing did stand out, was that you'll notice on the table over here to your left that there's a picture of Frances standing on the wall that separated East Germany from West Germany in Berlin on the day that communism fell there. And there's a little video loop that you can watch over there. And even Coin 6 TV News had an interview with her, and you'll hear her voice as they talk about that, and you'll see highlights of her picture up on the wall as communism came down. Did Frances have any favorite sayings or phrases? I asked Scott that. Scott said, well, not verbally, but she knew how to roll her eyes. I'm sure that a lot of men understand what that's like when they get the eye. No, I don't know what that's like. But there was a way that Frances could say much without even having to open her mouth. Frances was diagnosed herself with ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, in the fall of 2009. And though her physical abilities continued to diminish, her devotion to her husband and her children and her Lord never faded. They even grew. Time fails us to mention the grand scheme of the courage that Frances drew from the Lord, her ingenuity, her devotion demonstrated on her behalf, and many of you to them. Now, I've only shared not even the tip of the iceberg, but this is an opportunity for you to be able to share. So I'm going to ask Dakota, would you come up here please right now, buddy? Dakota's going to stand in the back. And if you raise your hand, he'll bring it to you. But we also have microphones here. So Dakota, you can go stand in the back there. If you see somebody's hand shoot up. But we have microphones up here, so come and stand on the line. If you have a story, a memory, something to share, something that may make us cry, something that may make us laugh, a memory that you have of Frances.
Apparently, is it on?
Yes.
Apparently, I'm not the shy person here. So, my name is Lance Christian, and I'm the Executive Director of the ALS Association here in Oregon. And I'm happy to be here today at a celebration of Frances's life. I, of course, met Frances after she was diagnosed with ALS. So I really look forward to hearing the stories of the whole person that she is and continues to be. It's truly been an honor for me to know Frances, Scott, and the entire family, and support them in their journey with living with ALS. And that's one of the key things that I really learned about Frances, is that she continued to live her life while having ALS. And the strength that she showed, and the determination and the witness and the example that she gave, and to both her family but also to so many other families who have ALS and our ALS support groups and our ALS community, her footprint is very large. And so it's an honor for me to know them. And the one thing that I know is Frances may have had ALS, but ALS never had Frances. So thank you all.
Well, people who know me know that me and Frances are an awful lot alike. We're very quiet. Don't talk, don't express ourselves. That's a lie. I'm totally the opposite of her. But her grace and her presence always amazed me. I always just would come away going, I really wish I could be more like that. And I just know that Mike and I got to do a few things for this family where other people were hugely involved in this last process of Frances's life. But one of the gifts Scott and Frances allowed my husband and I to do was to visit with Frances before she passed. And I have to say, we thought we were going there, and this is just me, and I prayed a lot to comfort Frances. And I walked away amazingly knowing my God more, and I love my God, and I trust my God. She taught me so much, and you were an incredible husband. What you did for her that day, I hope that if I ever had to go through something like this, I could have someone like that beside me doing what he did for her. I was honored, I was blessed, and I walked away changed. She was beautiful, and she would answer every question, and I am just, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about God? What's going on? What are you thinking? And Frances was incredibly real. She was honest, and she allowed all of that to be spoken. She told me the truth, and I was humbled. She wanted me to read the Word of God to her, and I stopped at one point and I said, what else do you need? And she said, more. And I can tell you how over this time when I heard she was diagnosed, that I would be on my little school bus driving the back roads banks, looking at God's creation, knowing that I'm blessed today. We all are blessed. And you don't know how many times He used me as the intercessor, because I didn't know what to do. But I prayed so much for her and her kids and her husband and the people in her life that were helping her. And I thought I was doing a good thing, and the day I came to see her, I realized she gave me more than I could have ever gave her. So I'm glad to know her. This is how quiet she is and how long I've known her. One of my favorite singers is Michael W. Smith. And I could tell by the music that had to be some of hers. So she is very, very amazing, and I just wanted to honor her today.
Thank you. Someone else. And as you come, we know, the family may know your face and name, but it might be difficult to remember that on the tape. So just give us your name when you come to the microphone.
Try not to cry. I'm Mrs. F. I was lucky enough to be one of Rebecca's first grade teachers. And my memory of Frances is that she was a very quiet woman with her words, but not with the writing. She was so strong when Rebecca was in my first grade class. Like many kids, Rebecca did better when Mommy wasn't there. And she would email me and say, I'm struggling with feeling like being a bad mom because I can't come in and help out in the room. But instead of coming in and helping, she wrote extremely articulate journal entries every day. We knew exactly what was going on in Rebecca's life the night before, the day before, what problems might come up. I felt more a part of that family without seeing her physically very often than I have with families over the last 30 years. And Rebecca and Sarah, we love you. You know.